Just like 3, but I don't want to forget these specific stories.
And don't believe everything she says.
Okay, so I'm Briona Johnson. I'm a GSU theater graduate. I graduated in 2013. I'm the founder of Theater Academy of Georgia. But before I get into all of that, I'm going to take you all the way back. My goal is to give you a perspective of what Georgia Southern was like when I got here in 2009, what the theater program consisted of, my journey into working professionally in the industry, and giving you all some feedback on how to make that transition, if you so choose, in whatever field of entertainment, theater you desire. So before I get started, can you all tell me what year you're in?
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore?
Senior.
Senior, woo!
I'm a freshman.
Freshman.
I'm a 6th-year senior. I'm also a double major. So
You're also what?
a double major.
Oh, double major. Nice.
I'm a junior.
Junior. Okay, cool. I have a special story for my freshmen and seniors. I have some stories for y'all too. Okay, so take you back. I was in 1st grade and I played this role of an old woman. And I remember wearing my mom's wig, and I had a mole and a walker. I really committed to that character, and I was like, this is so cool. I really want to do this more often. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I knew I liked getting into character that way. So I continued theater, started training at the Alliance. Where are y'all from? Georgia?
Yeah.
Georgia?
Yeah.
Georgia. Okay, cool. So y'all know about the Alliance Theater.
Yeah.
So I trained there, and then in high school, that's when I started doing all type of performance. I was in color guard, marching band, cheering. I did broadcast, theater, television, film, you name it. Anything acting, performing related, I did. And then when it was time to go to college, my mom was like, don't major in theater because, you're not going to be able to sustain yourself financially. You have an interest in broadcast journalism, be a news anchor. That'll be fun. You can do theater on the side. Da, da, da. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I was very obedient and all of that. And so when I got here, my first day, my freshman year was theater appreciation with Gary Dart. And I remember him going over, he's long retired. Some professors, when they get to a certain age, they're like, listen, this is what it is. Do it or don't, it's on you, but your grade's y'all know how it is. So that was Gary, and he was just like going over the syllabus, and he said, there's auditions this week, and if you get cast in any role, that will be your final exam, you'll get a 100. And I was so excited because I heard so much about college final exams and how scary and hard they are. So I'm like, if I get an opportunity to just omit it and get a 100, I'll play a mouse, a tree, whatever, just as long as I don't have to take that final exam. Because I don't know, right?
I forgot Gary used to do that.
I loved him for that. That's actually, he's a key to what got me my start, because a lot of people were like, freshmen, they don't get roles in the production, so you got to do a tech role position, or I don't know, just keep training until you're an upperclassman. So I wasn't expecting anything from it, but I wanted to try with the goal in mind to get out of this final exam. So I'd never done a professional audition before. In high school, my teacher, she was just like, she knew the people in the classes, and she was like, okay, yeah, Briona will be good in this role, so-and-so will be good in this role, da-da-da-da. And that was the audition. So I'm leaving the rack. This is the day of the audition. I'm leaving the rack. My hair's in a messy bun. I'm in some old gym clothes. I come into the cat, and the cat was really new at the time. So it kind of had a certain sparkle to it. I walk in, and there's a sea full of people in period pieces. Think Shakespeare, things like that. Just really, I was the elephant in the room in my old clothes. And people were like, are you lost? Do you know where you're going? And I was like, well, I'm here to audition. They're like, oh, okay. So I walk in, and I actually talked to Zoe. Zoe, the stage managers were sitting right at that table out there. And again, they gave me that look like, how can I help you? And I was like, well, I'm here to audition. And they gave me some sides, and they're like, I want you to audition with her. And I'm not going to say her name, but she was a senior and very, established in her seniority. And she kind of looks me up and down. And I was like, hey, I'm Briona. I'm going to be your scene partner. And she was like, okay. I was like, should we like read over it? I'm not sure. And she was like, no. And like a minute later, because I know she was like embarrassed to read with me. And, and I mean, honestly, I was hurt in the moment, but looking back, when you're a senior, it's high stakes. And you don't want some like raggedy looking freshman messing up your audition. So I get it now, but I did it. I was like, oh my God, like my feelings. So we go in. Keep in mind, the script was in some old language I wasn't familiar with. Everything we did in high school was very contemporary. So I didn't get a chance to read through it. I didn't even know what a cold read was. I didn't know what slate was. I didn't know any theater, nothing. I go in and the director is sitting in the green room. Is that a black box now? Okay, well, it was a green room.
It was like a dance studio.
A dance studio. So it looked very audition-esque. So the director was sitting in the back of the room, and me and the senior walk in, and he's still, which happens a lot in auditions. The casting directors typically don't look at you unless you give them a reason to look at you. So he's taking notes from the people who went before us, and he gives us some like signal to start. So she starts with her line, and she is like full theatrics with the gesturing and the blocking and the this and the that. And I am like, and then I went home. It was like shaking in this process. And the director like looks up from his readers, and he said, what's your name? I was like, Briona. Okay, stop. I want you to go out and have them give you the side for Molly and so-and-so, thank you. And I went into full panic mode. I was so horrible. He stopped me mid-line and said, enough, go read for somebody else because you ain't got it. And baby girl did all her theatrics and was like, oh yes, she's the one, and left. That was my mindset at the time.
What show was this?
I want to,
This is the gym you're auditioning for, right?
No. Okay, so I go out back to the stage managers, and I was like, the guy said, he wants me to read for Molly, and they both looked at me like, what? Okay. And they give me the sides, and they point me to another actress who, her name was Ellen, but she was nicer. She was like, hi, nice to meet you, da-da-da-da-da. Still not like overly excited, but it was better. So we go in. This time the director is fully attentive to me, and that gave me a little more like, okay, so I have his attention. Something is going right in this situation. So he let us do the whole side of the audition, and I see him like looking up, making notes, looking up, making notes, and he said, okay, thank you both. And then it was very short, and I was looking for more praise. You know what I'm saying? When you do a good audition, you're like, wow, that was great. I can't wait to call you back, or whatever the case may be. He was like, okay, thank you. And so we go out to the stage managers, and they're like, okay, the cast list will be posted on Sunday. If you made it, your name will be listed. The table read is going to be on the sheet. And I'm not even paying attention. I was just like, get me out of here. I'm so nervous. Were y'all nervous your first audition? Or did y'all feel like you had it? What about you? Were you nervous? Because I'm really telling this story for you. I don't know what your experience was like with your audition, but as a freshman, it can be very overwhelming with everybody, their experience, the high stakes of it all. But I wanted you to know, like, wherever you are is probably way beyond where I was. But so some time passes, and somebody reminded me, I think it was Bonnie, that the cast list was posted. So I go out, I look over, and I was like, oh man, I don't see my name. I didn't really do that good, so I'm not tripping about it. And Bonnie was like, congratulations, Briona. I was like, why? She was like, your name is on the list. I was like, no, it's not. Look at all these people. I was looking at the wrong show. I think they were auditioning 2 shows at the time. And because the other cast was like 5 people, I was like, there's no way I'm in that. So I look and I see my name. And I was like, in utter disbelief, because I just knew I blew it. Everybody was giving me weird energy and weird vibes. And I was like, well, I'm going to go to this table read and just see. So I went before I went to the table read, I called my mom. And she was like, so how did it go? Did you make it? Did you get a part? I was like, yeah, Mom, I got the part. And my mom, she's an ordained preacher. I'm going to give that before I go into the story. And she was like, okay, so what's the role? And I was like, well, it's a Black playwright. It's a Black show. So that's like really exciting. She was like, okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, but what's the show about? And I was like, well, it's about a seamstress, and she like makes clothes for the people in the neighborhood. It's like really good. She's like, are you the seamstress? And I was like, so I'm not the seamstress, but she makes clothes for my character. She's like, Briona, what's the role? So I was like, so it's a prostitute, but it's like really low key. It's not anything like what you think it would be. And my mom was like, oh, okay, great. That's what I was like, Mom, I'm playing a prostitute. And she was like, okay. I was like, Mom, I'm expecting more like theatrics. Oh my God, you can't, God, and all the things. And I was like, Mom, I'm expecting like more reaction from you. And she was like, well, it's acting. You're not, if you're playing a real prostitute, like, are you a real prostitute? And I was like, no, I'm not. And that was, between me and my mom, that was a huge, like, turning point in our relationship where I felt like she trusted me more as an adult because she was very, like, I don't know how y'all's parents are, especially with my freshmen, but it's like a transitional period from parent to, like, consultant mentor that happens in college. And that was really powerful for me. I was like, wow, my mom, she trusts me to do this, and that was really beautiful. So fast forward, we do the table read, everything is fine, and then we have a blocking rehearsal. And I should tell y'all, it was Professor Whitaker who was auditioning the show. I wanted to do a better lead up to that class. I forgot how I was going to I was really going to give y'all a gut punch with it, but it was Professor Whitaker, and him and I are very close to this day because of that moment. And I'm going to fast forward a little bit. After I graduated, a few years after, I came back, and I was like, you remember that show, Intimate Apparel? He was like, yeah, of course. I was like, why did you cast me in that role? He was like, it was your voice. And that kind of gave me chills when he says it, because he talks in a very like magical kind of way. And I was like, wow. And the takeaway from that is a lot of times when you're auditioning for roles, there are things that are out of your control as to why you were not cast in that role. But at the same time, your uniqueness could be the things that get you cast, or that get the attention of the director and the casting directors. So just make a note, whatever makes you unique, special, really cherish that, because that's what's going to separate you from everybody else when you're auditioning here and after GSU. So we have our blocking rehearsal, and he says, Molly, he referred to all of us in our character name, Molly, I need you to cross down stage right when you say that line. And I froze like a statue. And I was so scared because he might as well have been speaking Mandarin or something. I'm like, what does he? But at the same time, I'm like, I'm a freshman, and people are already mad at me because I got cast in this role, and they're going to be like, see, that's why you shouldn't cast freshmen, because they don't know what they're doing. And I really internalized that in that moment, and I was like whispering, like, where does he want me to go? And they're like, oh yeah, just go down in the corner over there. I was like, okay, so I go down, but then honestly, I went home and I cried that night because I was so embarrassed and I felt so ill prepared from high school, and I just felt like I didn't fit or I wasn't ready. It was just like a lot of self-deprecating thoughts that were coming to me from that blocking rehearsal. And now as a theater teacher, I don't care if I'm teaching kindergartners, high schoolers, whatever. They're going to know everything I learned at GSU, and students can go wherever you set the bar. So my kindergartners are all up in the stage knowing all the blocking, and just because that was something that really stood out. And when I went on to audition professionally, I realized that there's a lot of extra training happening, and I want to make sure that my students know, like, the basics. When they get to college, they'll be way beyond where I was. So that was like my introduction to theater. And
I have to say this because the culture, because that was my second year, the culture in our department has changed so much. And I don't think any of you walk into, and if you did, I would want to know, to the kind of, it was cutthroat when Briona was here, and it was, I mean, it wasn't, oh, hey, I thought you had a great audition. It was, and we really worked to change that culture from that, because it was scary.
Yeah, I'm downplaying it a lot because I didn't know how deep I could go with it. But I went in my shell for like almost 3 years after that initial audition experience, because I just felt like I wasn't welcomed. No one really supported me or cared, or there was just a lot of cliques and all kind of stuff was happening that was very stereotypical from like whatever theater, high school, musical kind of vibes you can think of. It was that. So I'm really happy to know that there's a better synergy happening that's more inclusive and community oriented. That's really exciting to hear. So as I matriculated through the theater department, keep in mind I'm a communication studies major and a theater minor. And my plan was to graduate in 3 years and just pursue journalism. So I gotta bring Lisa into this. So I didn't know this, but Lisa saw Intimate Apparel. I don't know why I thought you didn't see the show, because of course the professors see all the shows. So I didn't know that anybody really knew me. And Lisa, I feel like she saw, you know how sometimes people can see that thing in you and they push you really hard? Lisa like pushed me crazy hard. And I was like, yo, Lisa doesn't mess with me like that. Well, like, what's the tea? So we had a movement class. I really hope you remember this. We had a movement class over the summer. And we were doing some type of tableau. Do you remember this?
I remember the class.
Okay. We were doing like some type of like animalistic tableau, physical body work. And keep in mind, I'm like, Lisa doesn't like me. She's so hard on me. But she, do I sound familiar? So she was like, one thing I really appreciated was she would get in it with us. So she would come in and do the work with us. We were taking on these like monster, cheetah-ish kind of things, and somebody would yell freeze, and we would have to stop in that posturing. So I make my way towards Lisa. We're in our animal thing. I'm crawling on the floor, and I get close to Lisa, And right as they're yelling freeze, I smack her ponytail super hard. Lisa used to have really long, do you remember this?
I don't remember you hitting my ponytail. I remember
I know, can y'all believe I did that? I can't believe I did that. But so somebody yells freeze and I smack it really hard and her ponytail goes and she gives me this look like, you know, when you were little, if you're cutting up in the grocery store or something and your mom was like, wait till we get in the car. She gave me this death stare and I was like, and we're back. In that moment, I felt so good. So that's very freeing. I feel like I did that for everybody. But yeah, so that was one of my favorite moments with Lisa, and not only because I smacked her ponytail, but it just like there's a connectivity between the professors, specifically Lisa, and the students, where she'll do the work with you and she'll walk with you through the process. I auditioned for The Listener, and it was one of those moments where I really didn't believe in myself at all, because I don't know if y'all are familiar with The Listener. It's another one of those post-apocalyptic, animalistic kind of plays, and I didn't consider myself like a physical actor. It was very like dramatic. And I was like, I don't know why I'm here auditioning, but I'm gonna give it a go. And I think I auditioned with Mikey, and I think that the stars aligned for that to happen, because there's an actor, his name's Mikey, he's very out of the box, think like Jim Carrey, just like kind of wild and crazy. And I'm very like poised and, you know, pulled together, and we are auditioning, and Mikey just goes for it. He's all on the ground, rolling around, doing all this extra carrying on. And Lisa's like giving me direction, like, okay, we're in this moment, like, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, I'm just gonna throw it away, child. And I'm getting on the floor, getting into it with Mikey. And that was another moment where I feel like I bloomed more as a performer, and I feel like, wow, I can really like go there. And so that show was really special because it was not like anything I've ever done, and the way Lisa can see outside of what you're portraying and what you can give was really special, and I'm super thankful for you for seeing that in me, because I would have never known I could be in that space as an actor. So that was really pivotal. And I wish Sarah was here. Do y'all take classes with Sarah? Okay. Say what?
Sarah Matero?
Yeah. What do y'all call her?
Sarah.
Oh, okay. So Sarah, I think, I don't know, maybe my junior year or something was her first year. And I'm very like, I don't know if y'all are like this, but you have your professors, you have your teachers, you have your classmates, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like new people, you're like, I don't really know about you like that. So Sarah came in. What was it? Intro to Theater Appreciation or Intro to Theater History? It was some kind of dramaturg class. And Sarah had this big binder. And it was full of, I don't know, I think her dissertation or something like that. And she starts reading out of it. And we're all looking at each other like, what is this lady saying? You know, Sarah's vocabulary, she like said a whole bunch of like words and stuff. And we were like, Lord, like this lady, we thought there would be like a disconnect because of how she postured herself. And Sarah was my most like surprising relationship. And I remember she told me like about her personal romantic relationship, and I was like, okay, girl, like you cool or whatever. So it was interesting to see that balance. But there was one time where Sarah like kind of went off on me a little bit. I wish she was here. She would gag when she hears this. So we were doing Joe Turner with Professor Whitaker. And I don't know if you know this story, but it was the day before opening night. And we were using real food in this kitchen scene. And one of the ASMs forgot to thaw the food out. So we get to the table. None of us knew that the food was frozen. You see where I'm going with this. So Marissa, she's the one handing out the food, and she has these biscuits, and she does her typical movement, putting the biscuits down. The biscuits are frozen, so when she dropped it, it hit the plate and it hit the floor, and then it rolled off into the audience. And I just thought that was the funniest thing. In the moment, in the play, I just start busting out laughing. And it was one of those laughs where I can't stop, because now it's like a nervous laugh too. And Sarah loses it. She's like, Briona, what are you doing? We're about to have a show. Like, she really takes this serious. I mean, y'all know. So I'm like, I cannot stop laughing. Professor Whitaker's like, let her laugh, let her get it out before the show. And it became this whole, like, it almost felt like ambulance or something was about to come, the way people were going crazy in that moment. But I can't believe you didn't know about this. It turned into this whole big thing that I will never forget. But for some reason, it was like an out-of-body experience. Have you ever broke character in a show?
Have you?
Like, it's
Almost.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Almost.
not yesterday.
No,
On a regular.
Yeah.
I was about to say, this is just the entire Harlem cast of media, isn't it? Okay.
No, shout out to you, because
Yeah.
I was taking these opportunities too. And that's kind of what I want to transition to. At my time at Georgia Southern, none of the professors just gave us things or awards or whatever the case may be. The professors are going to meet you where you've met yourself. So if you really want to pursue this professionally in any capacity, take the time to train as much as you can. Go to their office hours. Ask for direction for an audition, a scene, a something. Show them how committed you are to it, because a lot of the opportunities that I got were not just put on display. It was because I went to Lisa and I was like, hey, can you help me with this audition, or do you have a script in mind that'll fit my type? I'm struggling in this area. And then they'll take it, okay, Briona serious or Liberty serious, let me help her get to the next level. Because what I learned from my first, it wasn't ACTF, it was, what's the other festival?
Or GTC
South-
when you did
SE
on the SETC?
Yes. Are y'all familiar with SETC? Okay, that's when I learned I was a very small fish in a big pond. Because, I don't know if y'all know, but Georgia Southern's theater is very small. And I'm sure y'all are fantastic performers. I cannot wait to see the show tonight, break a leg, and in case I forget to say that. When you go to these acting competitions, you realize, wow, everybody is just as good or has more training than me. So that was like a huge wake-up call. Because I thought, I'm just going to do my thing at Georgia Southern, and I'm going to go to Broadway. I'm going to transition. I'm going to be a film star. I'm going to do this, and I thought it was just going to be 1, 2, 3, because the professors hype me up a lot, and the students hype me up. They're like, oh, well, Briona, you're so amazing. You're so great. I was like, okay. After I graduate, it's going to be easy. And those opportunities to see other actors who are training just as hard as you, who are the top of their theater program, it was like a huge wake-up call to really lock in. And if I wanted to take this seriously, to take it seriously outside of what's required from class, outside of what's required from the rehearsal, really invest, commit, go to each professor. All of them have different education, different experiences, different personalities. They're all going to give you different gems. So I would meet with them as much as possible. If you're considering pursuing this professionally, because once you leave Georgia Southern, it's a lot harder to access the resources that are right before you. And I would make contacts with the people in the film department as well, because that's one thing, if I can go back and do it again, I would have made more connections with the film students as well. That way we could have bridged the gap and worked, because a lot of them moved to Atlanta or surrounding southeastern areas and work professionally. I think we're doing a disservice if we don't stay connected as alumni. So because we're more powerful in numbers, and that's something that we're trying to do now. I know some of y'all were here when the alumni came for the show last year. But yeah, that's one of my major takeaways. When I think my senior year, y'all are familiar with SAG-AFTRA? Okay. Well, the president at the time, Melissa Goodman, I was her daughter's RA, and I was really cool with her daughter, and she came in to visit her daughter, and I introduced myself, not knowing who she was or anything like that. I was just like, yeah.
Is she still the head of the Atlanta office?
I don't think so.
She retired probably.
Yeah, I don't think so. But it's just crazy how small the world is. So it's like, you never know who you're talking to, so always be pleasant and things like that. And I think Lisa invited her to come speak with one of the advanced acting classes, and she was giving us industry information similar to this conversation. And afterwards, she was like, "Oh yeah, Briona, I didn't know you were a theater major." And I told her, I was like, "Well, I'm in my last year. When I move back to Atlanta, I want to pursue film. I want to pursue theater more." And she was like, "Okay, well, I'm friends with the agent. I'm friends with Joy at J. Purvis, and let me know. Send over your headshot, and we'll get you an audition." And I don't know if that name sounds familiar, but that's the top agency in Atlanta. Well, really Georgia. And I got chills. I was like, "Oh my God, that would be amazing." So, and sure enough, when I graduated, I emailed Melissa. I was like, "Hey," gave her my headshot and resume. She talked to the assistant. They set up an audition. And I go to the audition. I'm reading with the assistant. She was like, "That was fantastic. I want you to meet with Joy, who's the owner." I was like, awesome. I'm thinking like 1, 2, 3, I'm signed with J. Purvis. So I go in with Joy, we read, and she was like, "Okay, Briona, like, let's just chat. Let's get to know each other." And this was right like a week after graduation. She was like, "So where are you training?" And I was like, "Oh, I just got my theater degree from Georgia Southern University." And she was like, "Okay," because I knew most film and television actors don't have a theater degree. So I thought me having a theater degree would put me ahead of everybody else because they have miscellaneous things if a degree at all. And she was like, "Congratulations, that's great. So where are you training right now? Like, who's your acting coach?" And I kind of said the same thing back to her. I was like, "I just graduated with my theater degree." And thinking in my head, "Girl, I done took all the acting classes you can think of. What do you mean, who's my acting coach?" And she was like, "Okay, thank you so much. It was so nice meeting you." And I was like, "Okay, cool. So I left, and I was sitting in my car, and I didn't know what that meant. Remembering the audition with Professor Whitaker, and that it could mean anything. But I was like, I don't know what to do. So I went and I emailed Melissa, and I was like, I had a great audition, everything went well, but she kept asking who I was training with right now. And I told her that, I just graduated with my theater degree, and I haven't heard back. And she was like, "Okay, let this be a lesson. As an actor, you always want to be in training, no matter how many degrees, advanced degrees you have. If they hear that you're not currently training, immediately they dismiss you from their mind because you don't take this seriously." And that's a big reason why most of the actors are cast from LA, because they will take classes all day, every day to be their sharpest selves. And typically in Atlanta, it's not the same level of dedication. So a takeaway, please learn from my mistake. First of all, don't be arrogant, answer the question. Second of all, always stay in training. Even if it's a class that meets once a week, it could be an improv class. Do something that keeps your acting toolbox sharp, that keeps your brain ready to go, because not only is it great to keep yourself fresh acting-wise, but specifically in Atlanta, it's so much about who you know. And a lot of people find out about opportunities from the classes they take. The coaches are very connected. Most of them work as producers, casting directors, things like that. And the referral rates are how most people get jobs there. So that's something that I also wanted to kind of give y'all to take away from. How are we doing on time?
Just a good, good.
Okay, cool. So I graduate and I have an audition I have an internship in Washington, D.C. at Arena Stage. And Arena Stage is kind of like the Alliance Theater of D.C. Very prominent, prestigious, all of that. And with that particular internship, we were being paid, me and my fellow interns did the math, we were being paid 30 cents an hour. And we were working 80 hours a week for 3 months. And most people, especially nowadays, would look at that internship and be like, I'm not doing that. Like, we weren't getting paid because that money was going towards transit, food, whatever the case may be. But I also want to remind you all that a lot of the work you do, the first time may be free, or it may be some type of low compensation or something, but the exposure that you get every time you do a different job is worth every free opportunity you've taken. Even now, I've done work, because I'm transitioning into becoming a coach for public speakers, adding theatrical elements to their performances. And my first client, I'm not going to tell you how much I got paid, but the first time I worked with her was for nothing. And the second time was like a lot of money. So if you feel like the opportunity, you'll gain something from it, you'll learn, you'll be better, take those opportunities, even when you become established, because typically what will happen is you'll do a great job, you'll be personable, great personality, and people want to hire who they like. And be like, oh yeah, Liberty has a great personality, she shows up with good energy, all of that, let's bring her back. This time, we'll pay you. And that's what happened with the internship. At the end, they offered me a full-time job as a teaching artist there. And I kind of look back on that, not saying that I have any regrets, but I think what my life would be like if I accepted that job at Arena Stage. I ended up turning it down, and it was because I felt like I was too young to teach, especially at such a prestigious place. I was like, I'm just out of college, like I'm similar ages to these students. What do I have to give? I'm gonna go to LA, pursue acting, and then I'll come back to teaching later. And again, there's this through line with, there are people who see things in you that you may not see in yourself. And to trust the process as kind of life, things come into your path. And knowing that there's a bigger picture and you're not anywhere by happen chance. It's all for your greater good. So I did that, and although I didn't accept that teaching position, I milked that name to the bone, as well as you all should. All of your accolades, accomplishments, brag on yourself, because that's what everybody's really doing. And they need to know that you do have your degree in theater. I mean, you could do it in like a respectful way, but all of these opportunities, all of these competitions, awards you're winning, all of that kind of adds to your portfolio, resume, credentials. Because when I did come back to Georgia to pursue acting here, I made sure to let them know that I trained at Georgia Southern, I trained at Arena Stage, and all of those name-dropping things, they do help propel you, at least get your foot in the door, so to speak. So one thing to be mindful of is everything that you're doing, document it. And that's one thing I wish I had done. I wish I had kept a log of all the auditions that I did, all of the different trainings, intensive workshops, people who you've listened to. Keep a log of that, because it'll be important for you to refer back to at some point during your time as a performer. So I went into teaching. I did LA for like 6 months maybe, and I couldn't really get with the energy of the town. I was like, real talk, y'all. What y'all see that be happening on TV and stuff like that, a lot of that is happening. So always stay grounded in who you are, what you won't compromise with. Stay true to your core beliefs and core values, because working professionally, you could be tested in that way, just keeping it real with y'all. So that wasn't the right fit for me. So I came back to Georgia, started teaching high school theater, which was quite the experience, because I think I was like 23, 24, and my students, some of them were as old as 21. Lisa, I don't know if you know this, but if you have a certain, they call it IEPs or some type of special need, you can stay in high school in Georgia until you're 21. And that doesn't have to be like learning, it could be behaviorally. So I was teaching theater, 40 to 42 kids per class. A lot of them were almost as old as I was. And y'all can only imagine the dynamic. I'm a new teacher, a whole bunch of grown people. It was a lot. So I was like, this isn't the right fit. I started teaching at an acting studio, which is how I found my agent. So I took a job that I didn't feel like was paying me the best, but the opportunities I got, I landed an agent. My daughter got an agent. That's when I started learning about networking a lot, and I started getting opportunities from being an acting coach as far as like commercial work and things like that. So again, consider the bigger picture when you're considering the opportunities that are presented to you, and how the non-monetary gains, what they look like as well, because those are very valuable. So I taught for a long time, and what I learned in teaching for the school system is we have to follow standards, and a lot of the standards teach you how to study theater, not teach you how to do it. And I felt like I was doing my students a disservice by teaching them the standards of theater. And that's when I was like, I can do this on my own. I had taught in film and television and theater in all grade levels, and I want my students, when they leave my program, that they can still pursue it academically in college, but also professionally as performers. So bridging the gap between the school way of doing theater and industry standards is what I do now with Theater Academy of Georgia. And I partner with schools, and we do summer camps and all kind of cool stuff to just get the performing arts back into the community, because y'all know they're being cut from the school systems. So now I want to kind of get to know you all more, and I want to know your interests. Are you interested in pursuing this professionally? Do you have any questions that I can give my assistants to, my thoughts on, so that you won't, especially my upperclassmen, feel more prepared if you do decide to pursue this professionally in any way? Yeah.
Who's your trainee coach now?
No, that's a great question. So I'm not currently training, but I'm also not acting. And I know Lisa's going to call Kat because I just posted a commercial I did that a few days ago. But so I'm not acting professionally. I do more of the training side of it. But if somebody from my network wants me to do something, I'll jump in and do it. So that's a great point. But there was something I was going to say to that. It's going to come back to me, I'm sure.
When you think about training, when you get to Atlanta, there's constantly, and you have to balance it, because you can end up spending a whole lot of money,
Yeah.
right? But, take an audition for a film class. Like, specifically, you'll find classes that are all about on how to audition for film. Right now that the means by which we audition has changed so drastically, it's how to do a self-tape.
Yeah.
We cover that in the audition class, but take another one, right? Because the technology changes so quickly. Like, I'm updating the audition class every time I teach it, right? Take a voiceover class, take a commercial acting class, take I love that you said an improv class, right? Take an improv class, take a stand-up comedy class. It's about taking what Briona said about keeping your toolbox fresh, right? It's about keeping your mind going. Singers and dancers take classes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Theater should be no different.
Absolutely. And to that point, the commercial I did, there was no script. And the director was like, okay, this scene is about such and such. I want y'all to start here and end here with you running out the door. And if I didn't know about improv and I was like script heavy, I would have been lost. So there's certain, and y'all brush up on any kind of special skills that you can do. If you roller skate, speak a foreign language, all of those things can set you apart. But yeah, if I didn't have that improv class, I would have been surely lost. So improv for sure. Thank you for that question. I have a point to make to that. It's going to come to me again, I'm sure. But
And don't believe her when she says she can't do physical work. One of my favorite pictures is you do that.
I'm telling you, I have not worked like that since The Listener. That was what a special time. Yeah. So I hope y'all stay present in each moment here at GSU, because some of my most memorable experiences as an actor have been here, even being 15 years removed from it. So be as present as possible in your interactions, especially during rehearsal. The synergy is like nothing else you'll experience. Let me hear from y'all. Who wants to pursue this professionally when they graduate? Everybody, okay. So do you feel like you're ready right now?
What's up?
I'm just looking at that.
Oh, I thought you were looking at me. I was like, what?
Has anybody auditioned outside of Georgia Southern? I want to hear from you, Mia.
I live in Atlanta, so I audition when I'm there. I get callbacks for some stuff in film, but I've never, gotten the role yet.
Yeah.
But I also went to SUTC this year. I am in talks with Kentucky Shakespeare right now to be an artist outreach teacher.
Awesome. That's really exciting. And y'all, just because you didn't get cast doesn't mean they don't remember you. That's happened to me a few times where I wasn't necessarily right for that particular project, but as soon as something else came, they were like, yeah, Briona for this. So every audition, you've made an impression. So show up to have fun and let the rest go. But you auditioning while you're still a student is really smart. That's going to prepare you to just make that smooth transition into auditioning professionally.
Hopefully. If I'm supposed to hear back from Kentucky like this week, but if it doesn't work out with Kentucky, then I'm planning to either move to Atlanta or maybe Florida.
Yeah.
I just know that there's lots of opportunities to perform there in Orlando and Miami and stuff. I have special skills there too.
Or maybe you could be an intern for Theater Academy of Georgia.
That would be my question. I was like, so speak of internship.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, no, I really like that. You gotta use your network. That's why I'm here. I'm here to give back to y'all. I want y'all to have an easier experience transitioning. And I've been working in Atlanta for a long time, so even if I can't give you an acting job per se, I know somebody who can, or I know, okay, you need this type of training, this is the coach to go to, because their showcases put you in front of these agents. So having somebody in your corner to help you, it'll save a lot of time, honestly. And I'm always looking for interns to help out and work with the kids and things like that. So, yes.
Mike Schiefler, who was the managing director of the Alliance, has said that he hires more graduates from Georgia Southern than any other school but Yale.
That was going to be another question I was going to ask about your experience at the Alliance, because my goal after college is to try to do internship at different theaters before I go to get my MFA. So I was going to ask you that.
That's really, really smart. I also work with a Georgia Southern alumni. Her name is Karen Aguirre, and she's currently, maybe right now, she's working on a show at the Alliance, The Preacher's Wife. If y'all get up to Atlanta, y'all should check it out. It has Loretta Devine, some really big heavy hitters. But she's working on that show right now, and she's also a teaching artist at the Alliance. I wish she could have came, but we work together often. So we're massaging our GSU network so that as soon as some of you all graduate, you all can come in. We can kind of be that liaison to position you where you want to be. So yeah, if you're interested in the Alliance, I know somebody. Yeah, that's not your hand up.
Hold on, guys.
I've got
It'll come back to you.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all the film stuff, so Kenneth is a film major, actually.
Okay.
And all the film stuff that our majors do, first off, the film program has grown beyond. It was just a baby. And now it's getting so much recognition, and they're doing such great work. And when you guys get into those films, you keep those reels.
Absolutely.
They become part of your website. Take the audition class we hadn't had it, right? Because it's all about how do you prep it, how do you get there.
And preparing yourself for agency auditions, they want to see your reel in addition to your headshot and resume. So having as much footage as possible professionally done will then put you right on par with actors who have been training in film for years. So make sure that you stay connected with the film program, because that is something I wish I did more of, because I planned to pursue film, but I didn't have a reel, so you're automatically not really taken seriously as an actor because there's so many there's a rivalry, but Georgia State too, I'm just saying. They have some really good things happening up there as well.
With the reels thing, like I make my own reels, and so like when I was like on a scavenger hunt, trying to get an agent, which sucks, but I was sending out my reels, resume, and cover letter to agents, and I've heard multiple things from different people where some people, well, they all want to see a reel, and I've heard from somebody where some of them don't really care as much as a reel, but they want to see how well you can do a self tape, if you can slate. Slate properly, if your setup is good, like backdrop or lighting, they don't really care so much as I guess how put together your reel is how well you can do it. That's from what I've heard.
And you can't predict, right?
Yeah.
Every CD is different. Every agent is different. So, the one thing you can do is you can look up other actors and see what their websites are like and what their reels are like. And especially if it's an actor who's getting work, right? And I know y'all are too young, you don't like Facebook, but there are actor groups on Facebook, and it's networking.
Y'all, seriously, I was working with a casting director who was not from Georgia, and she said she goes to the Atlanta Actors Facebook group. I was like, girl, that's 15 years old. But there's a resurgence in Facebook groups. So if I were you, I would, whatever industry, whatever area you want to work in, if it's Atlanta, join the Atlanta Actors Facebook group. I know it sounds so dated and not possible, but most things are virtual now. So the more the merrier. Have your reel, still know how to do a self-tape, because on these casting websites, everybody should be on Actors Access at least. There's an option to upload your reels when you're uploading your self-tape, and you want to give them more than enough information for them to choose you for the role.
It's also a new way of looking at headshots, because on things like Actors Access, the headshot's going to get cropped down to a thumbnail. So you were really thinking about it is.
So commercial, it's all in the smile. For the theatrical work, it's all in the eyes. So when you're taking pictures, look at I know some of y'all just did headshots, really look at them. What story are you trying to tell in each posturing of your face? Because that Sometimes you're booked straight from your headshot. I know a lot of commercials I've done have been booked straight from my headshot. So make sure when you're in these photo shoots that you're thinking of your intention. I know it sounds crazy because it's a photo, but what am I happy for in this look, or what am I thinking about in this theatrical moment? And all of that is going to be communicated in your eyes, because you could tell if there's nothing there when somebody takes a picture versus when they're really focused in.
They've got a call.
Okay, cool. So I'll be here after the show if y'all come up with anything else you want to share. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. I hope that was helpful, and break legs. Bye, everybody.
It was so nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you too.
Oh, please, y'all, I need to go with this.
I'll see you all later tonight on Sunday. See ya.
Are you watching tonight?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh.
Did you already pay for your ticket? Yeah. I'm gonna call you.
Oh, thank you. No, I didn't.
Okay.